Hi, my name is Kelly Wiens, and I'd like to introduce you to Bright Light Children's Ministry today. In 2019, I was on Instagram one day, and a young man named Nicholas Karugala reached out to me as the director of Bright Light Children's Ministry. Bright Light Children's Ministry cares for children that need hope and a future, who, for no reason of their own fault, find themselves without the resources that they need to feed themselves. Maybe they've lost their parents, or maybe their parents are in abject poverty and they have abdicated their role as parents, and this child has no place to go, no place to call home. And what Bright Light does is care for those kids in the orphanage, as well as they place kids in foster families where they can be cared for through foster families. When I first began interacting with Nicholas online, it was a very tentative relationship. I said, Nicholas, we're just going to start where Lanny and I, my wife, we're going to pray for you. We're going to pray for the kids, and that's it. And slowly over time, as trust built, we began to give a little bit of finances here and there. And then as we went along further, I remember walking down my long half-mile farm driveway, wrestling with the fact that here I was beginning to financially support basically about 65 children from fairly young age, just before school age, to the oldest would have been 15 or 16 years of age. And I remember feeling the stress of, well, what happens if I start supporting them, and what if I'm not able to support them in the future? I don't know that I can handle that. And will God continue to supply me with what I need so that I can help them with what they need? And I remember God speaking something very clearly to my heart at that point, saying, you be faithful with these orphans, and I will give you more orphans to look after. Somehow, by the grace of God, we've been able to continue to faithfully support kids, being able to be fed, being able to pay the rent, having a place to sleep. We were able to support to a large portion of what that ministry needed through our farm all these years, from 2020 to the present. And that's still a large part of how we're able to support the orphans and help them get back to school. And so it's always a challenge to see how is God going to provide for those school fees, as it costs about $50 a month to feed and care for one child in the children's ministry and the orphanage every month. And it probably costs about $100 to send them to school for a semester, 3 semesters a year. So it's always a challenge for us to find the funds to make that happen. When you step up and step into orphan care ministry, you step and start to stand with the Heavenly Father. And it's you and Him. And together, you watch God provide, and you watch God do what only He can do. In 2024, I was finally able to get to Uganda, to Jinja, and actually see the kids face to face and give them hugs. And one of the things we got to do right away, of course, is have an official welcome, which involved lots of singing, lots of dancing. And I said, man, I've been looking for my dance troupe all these years as a musician, and this is why I never could find them. They're here in Uganda. Then I got to join into the practical things of, okay, it's your turn to make breakfast. Cook the porridge over the fire, and we'll teach you how we do it. I played soccer with the boys one night because they really wanted to have a soccer thing. We spent a day at a park that a Dutch farmer created for kids. Went to church with them as well, to Nicholas's home church. Got to travel and visit a bunch of foster families and see what it's like for the foster parents and how challenging it is to be a foster parent. At this time, Fire Runner Ministries is seeking to grow its support base to 30 foundational donors who will help grow Fire Runner Ministries, which right now helps cover part-time wage, about quarter time for me, and some travel costs. And I want to get the base costs for running the orphanage covered. So the hope is through those 30 donors, we would get an average of $3,000 donated every month, which is about $100 on average. If God is calling you to be joining us in supporting orphans in Bright Light Children's Ministry, I want to invite you to take action today. Click on the link in the description. It'll take you to our donor page for Fire Runner Ministries, and it'll explain what to do there. Thank you so much for your support.